Yo, what's happening, everyone? I'm really excited to be back for this week's episode of Legit Crypto. Alex, the dev behind the Pirate Crew, is back for another episode. It's got to be one of my favorite episodes that I did with him last year, maybe about 6 months ago. And we said to each other we're gonna do another wrap up, however many months later, and this is that conversation. So we're gonna be talking about both of our projects, kind of what we learned, and a few key takeaways, as well as just talking about the larger crypto landscape that we're all in as it stands today, and moving into the quote unquote bull run. So without further ado, let me just go ahead and bring Alex up on stage. Look at that entrance, dude. Nice.
I'm sorry, Jay, I just gotta take care of one thing. But it's incredible to be back, and I always love talking to you. I think that you're probably one of the only creators in the entire crypto space that actually knows what the fuck he's talking about and actually cares about his community, because it's very frustrating to see all of this spam fun meta and all of the fucking influencers launching their own influencer coin. Some
I
guy
know,
who
man.
saw on YouTube meme like a couple of years ago is launching his own chicken and rugging it in a couple of minutes. So it's just very incredible to see a person who's actually building something, actually expanding his content, trying to build an incredible community. And I think that Hodi and the amount of time it stayed afloat is just an incredible representation of what the fuck you're all about. So
Thanks,
it's
dude.
it's nice to be back, and I think that's gonna be probably one of the best episodes we've done on this
Yeah,
channel, and we're gonna have a lot of very interesting topics to talk about today.
for
So
sure,
let's
bro.
get started. 100%.
Yeah, man. Thanks for saying that. I appreciate that. I kind of feel the same way. It's been so interesting to see just over the course of the past year, because I mean, you and I kind of launched our projects right around the same time, if I remember, which has been
I guess so,
almost a
yeah.
year, right? It's been about a year
Oh
anniversary.
no, Pirate was afloat in less than half a year. We've been
Well,
live for
yeah,
like
but
5 months at
but
most.
you've been around,
But
but
I
you've
mean,
been
yes, I
around
entered.
building.
I've been around. I was just
Yeah.
underground a little bit.
Well, at any rate, man, my point is it's nice to see other people like yourself and people that I'm meeting just that have been around and stuck with it, because I think it's so easy to kind of go through the challenges and hardships of creating a project and putting yourself out there like we are right now,
Oh yeah.
and not just being like later. this shit sucks. So kudos to you as well for continuing to build and push, and it's one of the primary reasons that I bought your token back in the day, and I haven't sold a damn bit of it. It's just sitting there. So, um, to everyone
That was a
out
good
there,
decision.
not financial advice. I'm just saying. Um,
It's financially right.
but yeah, dude, I would love to hear, because we haven't really had a chance to catch up. But I'd honestly love to hear and also share with you at the same time. What have you learned, dude? You've had your project for about 6 or 8 months now since it's launched, roundabout, I think. What
A
have you
bit lower than
learned?
that, but around that time. I mean, stress management, isn't that what crypto is all about?
Yes.
Because when you're sitting just watching your altcoins, your entire bags, your entire project just going downhill like crazy when Solana is dropping, I mean, it teaches you what you truly are, because it's very easy to invest when the entire market is going up, and it's very fucking hard to invest when the entire market is just dumping every single day, because
Yeah,
the
for
last
sure.
2 months have been absolutely rough. They've been incredibly rough for the entire crypto. Probably right after the Trump launched his own meme coin, we had
Yep.
this entire downfall of like Libra scams, of all the influencer scams, and it was just a crazy time to be alive. So
Yeah.
I think that crypto actually teaches you a lot of stuff about yourself, especially
But
because
tell me though, dude, we just stop there for a second. What has it taught you about yourself?
mm,
From a personal
uh,
standpoint. I'm really curious.
I think that crypto is just a level up from the financial market, because I've been investing in stocks since I've been probably like 14, 15 years old. So it
Hmm.
was like a couple of years already. And you know how your portfolio suddenly changes when you discover options and short-term capital gains. And that was probably my first taste of that like risky investing,
Mm,
because when you see your entire portfolio going up 100% and then going below, and then you're losing your entire account that you've been building up over the last 3 years, that fucking sucks. But it also teaches you not to be so emotional about the numbers on the screen, and
yeah,
that's probably what actually helped a lot in crypto. But crypto is just on a level of its own, because crypto is absolutely crazy. If
yeah,
you're not just a Bitcoin maximalist and you're just holding Bitcoin and not looking at the charts, I think that's like every day you have something to be happy about, you have something to be worried about, you have some bullish news, you have some bearish news, and it's just a crazy emotional roller coaster.
yeah.
So I think that if you're gonna be in crypto, because we already are, but for people who are just listening, and maybe they don't have that much money in crypto, maybe they don't want to actually go into crypto that much, but they're like kind of thinking about it, it's just very important to understand that with a high probability you're just gonna lose like half of your portfolio in a couple of weeks, and it teaches you to not be so stressed under pressure, and that's probably one of the most
Yeah.
I mean that like it pretty much teaches you resilience,
But
because
dude,
that's like
zoom in.
probably the most important skill that you can ever have in lilife,
Dude, isn't that the truth, man?
not to
Like
crumble under pressure.
honestly, man, resilience is probably the number one skill to master. Like,
100%.
oh, absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned that. But dude, like, zoom in for me just a little bit. I'd love to know really like some of the things that you've learned or like taken away from running a project first and foremost, like running Pirates. Like you have a team, like you haven't given up. I'm just curious, like what have been some of your big takeaways specific to that aspect of crypto? I mean, we'll get into some of the larger, being a crypto investor a little later, but like I'd love to just kind of know and kind of see
Oh
if
yeah, right.
we have some kind of parallels in
Mm.
terms of our journey.
I think probably the most, like the point where I actually had some kind of breakthrough in terms of my mentality and how I actually approach my project, is just mastering outsourcing,
Yeah,
because it's impossible to do alone. And for people who want to start their own projects, you're not going to do it alone. It's just not real. That's not how it works.
not at all, dude.
And it's very frustrating to see all of those alpha male TikToks when some guy is just walking in an opposite direction of a crowd, and he's all alone and he's such cool. Like, damn, that's just, I don't know, mental masturbation. And when you want to build a project, you need to understand that there are key roles you need to fulfill either by yourself or by hiring other people. Because right now I think I have four full-time employees on the payroll, so I'm paying
Mhm.
them salary every single month, which is just crazy how fast it drains my
Dude,
bank account.
seriously.
But it doesn't matter. And I think I have like two or three freelance employees that come in and out, like for web design, for some quick animations here and there. But it's very important to understand that beforehand, because I mean, do you know how to draw? Can you draw an incredible picture? I can't. You probably can't either.
Nope.
So it's very important to understand that it's much better to pay someone professional to do it for you than to try and master this skill on your own, because you're just not going to be able to master every single skill. You need to understand communication, you need to understand team management, you need to understand design, you need to understand web design, you need to understand social media marketing, you need to understand content planning. And I don't know all of those things, but I have people who I pay and who do it for me. So
Yeah.
that's probably one of the most important tips for everyone, and it doesn't apply only to crypto, it applies to pretty much every single business. Because
Yeah.
if you want to start a business, you need a website. Don't try to build the website on your own. Pay some guy from India $100, he's going to build it nice and clean, he's done it 100 times before, and you're just going to have a nice website. Because that's probably the biggest waste of time that you can ever think of. And I think the second biggest takeaway, besides hiring right people and not being greedy and paying people what they deserve to get the level of talent that's required, I think the second biggest takeaway is how important transparency and trust is in crypto, especially in crypto. Because, I
You're
mean,
speaking my language, bro.
it's very, yes, sir. I think that it's very easy to build your own crypto project and to build pretty much any business, and especially a crypto business, when you're just 100% transparent. Because I don't have anything I need to hide. I don't have skeletons in my closet. I don't need to sleep at night and just waking up to nightmares that someone's gonna find out I rugged the project because I just didn't do it. I just know it's not the case.
Right.
So, and it's very easy because when someone knows something about you, he cannot use it to like threaten you of some kind. He cannot use it to, I don't know, dishonor you, to
Yep.
mock you.
Tarnish your
And
reputation. Exactly.
yeah, so I think that it's just very important to be 100% transparent and trustworthy because if people trust you, people will continue to support the project. And we've seen it with Hori because Hori's staying afloat really, really well, especially in those incredibly bad market conditions a lot because of the community, because the
Yeah.
community believes in the project and it believes in you, and it believes in you because you're coming on camera and showing your face, and they understand like, all right, that's the man who's running the show. I believe that this man is not gonna run the project, so I'm willing to bet my money on this person and
Yeah.
on his project. And I mean, it's just much easier to live life when I mean, I sold some of my tokens, 100%. I doxed my sale in the Telegram chat immediately after. And now people understand that I'm not just gonna dump on the project and leave. And if for some reason I need to sell, like to pay the payroll or to do something else, I can be
Yeah. You'll just be
transparent
honest
about it.
with
I
it.
can say like
Exactly. See,
100%.
and that's the thing is like transparency can be so undervalued or underutilized by so many people because there's fear kind of wrapped around it. But like, God, man, like honestly, it's so much easier when you're just like when you keep it 100% real all the way through. It's just like you
Yeah,
said, you can sleep at night. There's no stress. There's nothing to worry about. Plus, it just feels good. And as you start to build that sort of relationship and communication with your community or people who care about what you're doing, like everyone's cool with it. Like I'd personally rather hear bad news, honestly, than all the time, than like good news, good news always, but like not hearing the bad news or things of that nature because I just think it,
oh
it
yeah,
just makes everyone aware of where things are at and no one can be necessarily like suddenly surprised. So yeah, dude, I'm happy. I'm
exactly.
happy that you've been taking that approach. I think that for me, my biggest takeaway is delegation has been for sure one of them. When I started this thing, when I was like, all right, I'm gonna create a meme coin, I'm gonna learn how to do it, like I had no idea, bro. Like I was just like, sure, I can do all these things and I'll make it work.
Hmm.
Not a chance. Like
You
if it
can't.
wasn't for some of the key players on the team, from people in the community to the developers, the animators, like all of these people, and now our new marketing partner, like it's just the only way to go to like grow a legit project if you think about it from more of a business standpoint. Um,
I mean, every project boils down to an amount of investors and an amount of money they put into the project. So it pretty much boils down to the community of the project. So I
yeah,
think that if you're just having your entire and solitary focus on making the community as much like as big, as strong, and as legit as possible, it makes things so much easier.
yeah,
Because
totally.
when investors support your project, it's very easy to continue growing it
Yep,
instead of having this PvP pump fund mentality that I'm gonna dump before somebody else dumps. You
yep.
don't want to dump because you understand that someone else is gonna buy your bag a couple of minutes later, and you're gonna miss out on like all of the ride that's coming for us.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of community, I just want to give a quick shout out to everyone on the live stream right now. Uh, PJ, what's up? Fox, you, it's good to see you. I haven't seen you for a while. I'm happy you're on the stream. Captain Hempbeard's in the house. Joseph on the Hody team. What's up, bro?
Hello,
Happy
Ham.
to see you here. We got Pi, we got
Got a shit.
Vincent, Victor, Alexandria. What's up? Kava is here supporting Pirate. Who else we got? I think, and Pi says ahoy as well. So, anyways, you guys, we're gonna kind of be talking not only about like our projects, mine being Hody and the Cat Cartel, as well as Alex's with Pirates. But we're also going to be talking more about like just the greater kind of crypto landscape, what's been happening this year, and some of our high level thoughts. So one of the things that we're going to be doing is like doing a little bit of QA round. So if anyone has any questions that they want to drop in the chat, I got my little thing pulled up here. We might pull up some of your questions and answer those live on the stream. So don't be afraid to like drop those in the chat. Which is a nice segue, dude. Like you kind of like jumped into a little bit of kind of your thoughts on the crypto landscape. On my end, dude, it's been what a fucking roller coaster. Pardon my French. Like
It's been crazy.
from like the huge pump at right as we entered the new year, with Trump coming into office here in the U.S., like Bitcoin hitting all-time highs. Like I thought we were like, all right, let's do it, and then it's like literally been like this. Like what an emotional jerk show. Uh,
I have an explanation for that actually.
yeah, dude. I'd love to hear your
Maybe.
thoughts.
All right. So right now we're going to be going into the segment of talking about the crypto market in general. So before we do that, I just want to give a quick shout out to Hodi and to Pirate. And that's probably one of the best places you can put your money into if you want to consider meme coins. And that's financial advice. Buying Pirate is financial advice. It's always been this way.
Bro,
And
don't get
Pirate
me into
going bad.
trouble, man. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Gee, what the fuck they're gonna do? I'm in Moscow.
I'm in
I
the U.S.,
mean,
bro. It's all right. It's all
all
right.
right, I'm sorry about that, but probably
I'm
we're gonna
kidding.
have to take the blame. All right, so I think that the reason why we had such an incredible disconnect from, first of all, the entire market sentiment that crypto is going up, 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 and that Bitcoin is going to hit like 150 to 100K at least by the end of this bull run, and the entire market just taking an absolutely massive hit, is probably because of, in my opinion, two main reasons. The first reason being that if you go back on Ethereum and Solana charts, you will see that the altcoin season, kind of altcoin season, because we still haven't got a proper altcoin season, kind of an altcoin season like the initial rising was much, much, much earlier than in the previous cycle. Because
Hmm.
people who've been in the 2020, 2021 cycle, they understood that altcoins will outperform Bitcoin most likely. So they started buying up altcoins before the entire altcoin craze happened. And the same way with Bitcoin, because people are just so aware of the four-year cycle, and they understand it so well that they've been loading up on Bitcoin before all of those crazy news started coming out. So I think that at the point of Trump inauguration, the first problem is that market was probably just overbought, and we just had too many people investing in crypto because of the Trump's inauguration. So it just didn't have, like, people just didn't have more money on hand to throw into the crypto markets, which means that we didn't have pretty much any retail buys, like, especially in comparison to last bull run. And we didn't really have any institutional buys because we're still in the process of getting all of the Solana ETFs approval. So I
Yeah.
think that this entire rally we had right now of Bitcoin going to 110K, of Solana going to like 290, I think that it was probably just caused solitary by retail. Because, I mean, besides Michael Saylor, besides Trump, and maybe another couple figures, we didn't have pretty much any institutional support up until this point. Because right now we're just starting to see news that banks can now purchase crypto, that governments can now purchase crypto. And I think that that was just a big disconnect that people, they expected everyone to come in later. So everyone expected everyone to come in later, everyone bought before. And when later happened, nobody just had that much money on hand to continue pumping crypto. That's probably the first reason. And the second reason is that this bull run didn't have any signs of quantitative easing so far.
Yeah.
Because this entire pump was while the feds were selling all the assets, while the balance sheet was going down like Solana chart the last couple of months, and we didn't have any QE. The entire bull market that we had up until this point was solitary during quantitative tightening, which means that interest rates are high, everything's pretty expensive. People don't have that much extra money to throw into the crypto markets, especially crypto markets. And I think that QE will be probably the big catalyst that will kick off the actual bull run.
Yeah.
Because right now, I honestly believe maybe that's copium, maybe it is, but who doesn't like a little bit of copium here and there? I
Yeah.
think that this entire rally we had right now was purely because of the retail buying into altcoins before Bitcoin because they want to get bigger gains, and then waiting for this alt season, which never happened, and started being worried that altcoin season is never going to happen at all. Then they began slow selling their bags, and that's the reason why we had such a big disconnect from Bitcoin to altcoins. Because in most bull runs, we have Bitcoin taking the lead, then the liquidity flows from Bitcoin to Ethereum, and then from Ethereum to altcoins, and then we have an entire alt season. But right
Yeah.
now, we had no liquidity flowing into altcoins because all of the liquidity that was supposedly flowing into altcoins was from people who bought before everyone else, who bought like in the early 2023, in the early 2024. And that's
Yeah.
why nobody just had any money to pump any altcoins because people just understood the game a little bit better. So right now, I think that we're probably, I mean, the last couple of months were very rough, but the last couple of weeks, they actually been pretty nice. We haven't seen like any major downward movements. I think that everything's starting to cool off, and I mean, I bought my entire altcoin portfolio to like 1.5 weeks ago. I loaded up a crazy altcoin portfolio, and I did it pretty much because I 100% believe that this bull run is nowhere close to being over.
Yeah.
We still, I mean,
Let me share some thoughts. Let me interject you, bro. Um,
and let's go.
one of the things that's been on my mind as I've been kind of thinking about this, this 4 year cycle is honestly like whether or not, based on how things have really transitioned here in the U.S. With Trump being in office, talks with loosening regulations, how everything happened with the SEC dropping charges, with XRP, like we're at this really interesting point within the like quote unquote cycle where like the Bitcoin halving just happened last year. So like in normal cycles, we would kind of probably follow the same trends, but we've got this like interesting interrupt where now suddenly, we're talking about strategic reserves of Bitcoin, here in the US and in states and other places. And so part of me has been really wondering like how those sorts of mechanisms in like the greater like growth of the crypto industry are going to help shape really what the normal cycle looks like because over the past what like let's just say 10 to 15 years of the cycle highs and lows, it's been pretty easy to predict. And I think myself, certainly having been in crypto since like 2016, has been like, okay, like here we go, like this is what's going to happen. But I think everyone's a little taken back where like we're not getting the normal sorts of patterns that we've all been used to. So it's really going to be interesting to see how everything shapes up this year as it relates to so many of these initiatives, especially here in the States and in many other countries, as it relates specifically to Bitcoin, all of these recent ETFs that aren't just happening here in the U.S. but in other countries as well. And just see like what ends up happening with these sorts of cycles. Like, do we create a brand new cycle, or do we just have a modified
Mm,
4 year
I think I
cycle?
have an answer for that because I
What do
think
you
that a
think?
lot of people are just they're thinking about the 4 year cycle as some kind of mantra that like 1.5 years after the Bitcoin halving, we're gonna have the top of the cycle, then we're gonna have a bear market, then we're gonna have another bull market, then we're gonna have another top, then we're gonna have another bear market, and they're just operating off of the numbers. But the thing is, numbers don't do shit. Those
Hmm.
numbers, those like Bitcoin will hit an all-time high like 500 days after the halving. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean shit because the entire 4 year cycle is driven solitary by the global liquidity. the entire bear market and the entire bull market is fully tied upon the global liquidity going up or going down.
Yep.
So, for example, for the last like couple of years, we had pretty much the majority of sentiment being towards the quantitative tightening. So, selling assets, converting into dollars, high interest rates, high prices, etc., all of the signs of quantitative tightening. And right now we're starting to slowly transition to the quantitative easing, which means that Fed is gonna start buying assets, which means that the market is gonna fucking pump. And I think that that's pretty much just a coincidence
Yeah.
that the global liquidity was following this 4 year cycle. Because if you just go on TradingView, you type in M2 money supply index or M2 global liquidity index, you can just watch the chart of global liquidity because global liquidity has been around long before crypto. You can just watch all of the cycles and global liquidity moves and how it all play out. And if you just take a look at this, I mean, it becomes pretty damn obvious because the bull
That
market
makes sense,
started
dude.
when the global liquidity started rising. The bear market started when Fed started selling assets. They went into the quantitative tightening because, I mean, if you have quantitative easing for too long, stocks become overpriced, people become over risky, and the system can just implode in a second. So to prevent it, Fed needs to jump between quantitative easing, quantitative tightening, and right now we just didn't have the same timing. But
Yeah.
we're just not following the 4 year cycle, we're following the liquidity cycle. And that's just how it's always been, to be honest.
Yep.
And especially right now, since we had the Bitcoin ETF, Ethereum ETF, right now it's easier than ever for especially institutional investors to load up on riskier assets like Bitcoin,
Yep.
which means that right now we're gonna have the global liquidity tied to crypto as close as it can possibly be.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely, man. Um,
So people just
you know,
looking in the wrong direction, in my
yeah, dude. One of the things that like I'd love to kind of get your thoughts on and share my own is in relation. So like that's a lot of the kind of the macro climate and how it's impacting just the greater crypto landscape. You know, one of the things like if we zoom in from the macro a little bit and we look like specifically at crypto, um, what's been happening over the course of the past like year or two, some of the recent trends in not only just tech but like just narratives. You know, I've definitely like got my own kind of eyes on different segments of crypto, but and I think we have a few of our own similar thought processes on like
I
where
believe
we should be
so. I
looking,
believe.
which is like the AI narrative, which I think we're kind of
Oh yes.
aligned on
All
for
right. Yeah.
sure. But like,
100%.
you know, it's been interesting because when I got into like building my own project and creating Hody the meme coin, it was really when like the whole meme coin narrative was like really hot. I mean, like, of course, Doge has always been there, and there's like been some of the main old school meme coins, but it was like it was probably like last year when it seems like there was a huge craze for meme coins, which is obviously birth pump fun and all of like all the shit that exists now today. But like
Um,
before I launch in, and I'll share a few of my own thoughts, but like if you were to pick just like your top three like narratives and or like where you think the market's going to go in terms of where you're putting your money, not financial advice, people. What would you say that would be?
it's not financial advice. If we're gonna lose money, we're gonna lose money together. I mean, in right now we're gonna talk solitarily about altcoins because meme coins don't. They're like really in the category of its own.
Yeah.
And I mean, if we're talking about altcoins, I mean, I gotta say layer ones. I like layer ones. All the SUIs, all the SAIs, all the S's, all of this
Mm-hmm.
stuff. I mean, I probably have more than half of my portfolio, like altcoin portfolio, in layer ones, because I think that layer ones is pretty much just like the safest bet in terms of buying altcoins.
What are some of your favorite layer
Especially
ones right now?
my
That
favorite
aren't the
layer one. I
norms,
mean,
right?
favorite. I
Don't
gotta
tell
say
me.
Solana. I fucking love
Okay.
Solana G.
I was gonna say if
But
you
in
said
terms
ETH,
of
bro.
investing,
I'm
oh
joking.
Jesus Christ, I fucking hate Ethereum. God damn. If Base didn't exist, I would have never owned any fucking Ethereum. Oh my God.
Dude,
Ethereum was crazy.
I sold all of my. I like literally emptied my bags when it was like right around 4,000. Like last. Thank God I did it, dude.
Incredible.
And you
Oh,
know what?
gee.
It'll probably go back up, but I don't care, bro. Like
It's gonna
I'm
go back up, it's just obvious because Ethereum is just too fucking big to fail.
all right. So Solana, you said
In
Solana.
terms of my
Give me
favorite
two more.
layer ones, I mean, I love Solana, but I don't own any Solana pretty much.
Because
Just
you
because I
use
think that
Solana.
I mean, I own a little bit of Solana, but I don't hold it as my altcoin.
Yeah.
So I use it a little bit. I hold like a couple of grand of Solana because I need Solana to transact. But in terms of like altcoin picks, I think that Solana is just, I mean, Solana is pretty much on the category of Ethereum. It's not that big of an Ethereum, but right now somebody's talking about like name your top three like safest cryptos. Everybody's gonna say Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. So I think
Yep.
that Solana is right now is closer to Ethereum and Bitcoin in terms of safety, which means less volatility. And I need to
Yep.
satisfy my inner DGen by getting as much volatility as possible. So in terms of three layer ones I actually own and which I will be probably adding up to a lot in the next couple of weeks or months. My biggest bag is S, which is Sonic Chain.
Sonic. Oh,
It
bro,
was
I've been thinking about getting into Sonic.
rebranded from Phantom,
Phantom.
which
Yep.
hit a very nice market cap in the last cycle. And right now it's sitting probably at about $1.5 billion market cap. I fucking love Sonic because Sonic is pretty much like an upgraded Ethereum. It has a hyperscalability, which means it has more than 10,000 transactions per second capacity. It has very nice dev team who already had experience in previous cycles. And I think that we will see a lot of liquidity flowing from Ethereum ecosystem into Sonic. So Sonic is my biggest bet in terms of altcoins. I mean, I hold probably 25% of my altcoin portfolio solitarily in Sonic because
Yeah.
it's just so fucking undervalued right now. The second one, I
What's
mean,
it
I gotta
trading
say
at? What's it
Sui.
trading at? Do you know? Offhand?
I think it's trading at like 5 cents, something like that.
5
Maybe
cents?
5.5. $0.55 of the last time I checked. It's
Ooh.
fucking cheap. It's like $1.5 billion market cap. So, I mean, it's a great bet in my opinion. So, I hold a lot of S. I bought a lot of S and I fucking love this bag. And the second one, I mean, I gotta say Sui. Sui is like the only real competitor to Solana at this point because Sui is pretty much Solana, but kind of
Yep.
better in some ways, kind of worse with other ways. So I mean, Sui is just different from Solana, but it has all the same fundamentals. So I think that Sui will be like the biggest rival to Solana in terms of performance, in terms of retail adoption, and right now Phantom also supports Sui. So it's pretty much as easy as getting your hands on any Solana coins.
Yep. I'm right
And the
there with you,
third
dude.
one,
That's definitely one that
Sui is
I've been
nice.
moving
That's
into.
my second biggest bag. That's
Nice.
my second biggest bag, and Sui is like it's absolutely lovely. And the second layer one, I mean, it's hard to decide on one, but I'll probably say I like Near protocol. Near
Yeah.
is nice. Near protocol is arguably the best AI layer one. They have pretty much the entire focus on the AI narrative, and like their whole purpose is just building out a blockchain for like user-owned AI agents.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now we have all of this stuff with like centralization, OpenAI controlling your data, Chinese guys releasing DeepSeek on the markets. So it's a crazy world for AI, and I think that Near is probably one of the top picks for the AI narrative and for the layer one narrative. And I mean, yeah, I gotta say Near. Near is nice. Also, they have a very nice idea in terms of long-term vision for the project because they want to make all crypto assets and all blockchains available through the Near network, which
Yep.
means that you'll be able to buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Sui, any other altcoins, meme coins, etc., only by interacting with the Near protocol. So it's theoretically possible that Near will become just a front end for all of the crypto projects we have right now. So I think that Near is probably my third favorite layer one, but I really don't own that much Near. Aptos is nice. I gotta mention Aptos. Aptos is pretty much Sui. Like I have Sui as a hedge against Solana, and I have Aptos as a hedge against Sui, because Aptos and Sui have the same origin. They both came from a failed Facebook crypto coin, and they both operate on the Move programming language. They have very similar blockchains, and Aptos is pretty much like Sui. Like
Yeah,
they're very, very similar. So I think
nice.
that owning Sui and like buying a bit of Aptos is just a nice move.
Yeah,
So
we got
that's
some
layer ones. I
similarities.
like layer ones. Oh
Um,
yes,
we definitely have some similarities. Let me
you
share
definitely
mine
own a lot of Sui.
before we do. You guys, we're gonna be rolling into a little bit of like a community Q&A. I got one question in the chat, which I'll pull up in just a bit. But if you have any questions for Alex or I, definitely drop them in the chat because we're gonna move into that round to wrap up the last 5 minutes of this live stream. Dude, layer ones for me, man. Outside of like the main players like Bitcoin or Solana, I won't mention Ethereum. For me,
There's some generational hate you have.
no. I'm just giving it a hard time. It's so easy. It's just so easy to give them a hard time right now. Um, yeah. For me, I think Sui is definitely one that I'm dollar cost averaging into right now, and I have been for a little while. I think they've got a lot of promise for sure for everything you mentioned. The other two, which you didn't mention, that I've been buying into for a long time. Say what you will, but Cardano, I'm like a big ADA fan, have been for a long time. I think they're like a long geeky play, but like I don't know. I think they could do some really interesting things. They just got to get like the right momentum. But I think everything that's happening here in the U.S., especially, that could be a pretty big win for all the Cardano people out there.
And I mean, Cardano is included in the US strategic like digital stockpile. So it's also a very nice thing
Yes,
about Cardano.
actually, yeah, Cardano, and
Like
it hits like these key areas where like
all the key points. Yes.
yeah. And then the last one that I'll say, which I've been kind of a dollar cost averaging into as well, which was a little bit of a hotter narrative a few months ago, but that's AVAX. I still think AVAX has like
Mhm.
some gas in the tank, although I think Sui and even Aptos is kind of like eating its lunch right now. So I might kind of shift a few of my
To be honest, I would actually advise you. That's obviously your own money. You're gonna lose it anyway. So I think that by buying into Sonic, you're probably gonna get much better risk to reward ratio.
dude.
Because
Sonic is my next big like
I,
thing that I want to move into. The only thing about Sonic that
I
I hear
think
right
that,
now is it's just kind of a bitch to. I mean, you have to go through bridges and like a bunch of different like shenanigans to
but
buy,
it's an easy bridge.
which makes it a good time to buy because not a lot of like normies will
Exactly.
go through those measures to get it. So it's all the more reason for me to do it. Um, but yes, dude, thank you. You're pushing me off
I
a cliff
mean,
here.
that's an incredible portfolio. Like, I gotta say, that's nice peaks, but you just need to understand that I came from degeneracy. I came from the meme coin trenches and I arose to altcoins. That's an incredible step up. I'm not able to
Totally.
force myself to buy a coin over a $10 billion market cap because the top is already in. Like, I'm sorry about it.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, I just like seeing my portfolio going up and down 15% every single day. It's nice. But I
the
also,
last
I mean,
the
yes,
last
sir,
thing I'll
go
say
on.
is like just kind of like moving out of just the layer ones. I mean, like in my opinion, and I know we have
Yes,
this
sir. I
similarity
have some very nice
is
non-layer
the
one coins.
is the AI space. I mean, that's one of the spaces that I'm like really excited about. I think like we saw a little bit of a kick up of the narrative last year, a little bit this year. We're kind of in a downswing in terms of like crypto narrative as it relates to the AI space. But dude, I think AI is going to be one of those things that's like a sleeping giant in AI. So a few of the big things that I'm starting to invest in, like Tau, Bitensor, I'm like
BitTensor,
that.
amen. My biggest AI bag,
Yeah,
100%.
that's one of the
It's
ones that
nice. Yeah, I
I'm
like that.
really. The other one is Masa, which is actually like it's an AI play that leverages Tau as their underlying token. They're doing some really, really
Mhm.
interesting things as well. Super low cap, but I'm really curious to see what they're doing. And
And with it, yeah,
there's a
I'm gonna
handful
dive
of
more.
others, but like AI, I think is going to be a big one in terms of like
AI will 100% be a very big narrative this year, but I think that the one narrative people are like kind of underestimating is real world assets.
yes,
Because
totally.
real world assets are gonna blow the fuck up. They're gonna be bigger than AI, in my opinion.
Hey, dude,
Because
is
real world assets are just so incredibly bullish because AI, like crypto AI, doesn't really change anything for the average crypto consumer. It
right?
like it's nice, it's a nice narrative. I like AI, I own a lot of AI coins, but it's not gonna change the world for the crypto investors. If we're
Yeah,
talking about real world assets, Ondo, imagine BlackRock ETFs and BlackRock stocks trading on chain 24/7. That's going to be a huge step up in, first of all, crypto investing, and second of all, in the entire financial market as a whole. So
yeah.
I think that real world assets are like a sleeping giant. They're like the real sleeping giant.
Hey, dude, what have you been hearing about? So, like, speaking of RWAs, what do you think about Plume? I keep hearing about Plume. Have you heard about this project?
No idea. In terms of real world assets, I pretty much have my entire liquidity concentrated in Ondo because just Ondo is partnered with BlackRock.
Yep.
I'm gonna buy Ondo. They're fucking this fucking BlackRock. They're gonna go up. That's just a fact. And the
Yeah.
second one I hold a lot less of is Mantra, just because
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty much in the same category and they're having like kind of the same ways to do things. And the third one, I wouldn't say it's like a fully real world asset thing, but it's Pyth Network, which is
it's,
a direct
it's called
competitor.
Beef.
It,
Sounds like a meme card.
Pyth. Pyth. So
BYTH. Beef. Beef.
P
Yeah. Beef.
Pyth.
Biff.
Pyth.
Biff. Got it.
It's fucking hard to pronounce, especially for me. But Pyth is the only real competitor to Chainlink in
Mm-hmm.
terms of providing oracles. And right now, sitting below $1 billion market cap, it's used incredibly frequently. Pyth is integrated in more blockchains than Chainlink. It has better use cases. It has a different strategy, and it has its own layer one. So
Nice.
I think that Pyth is like it's also tailored to the real world assets because they will have to provide information to the crypto tokens to replicate movements on the stock exchange. So I think that Pyth is probably be a very big benefiter from the real world assets, even though it's not like fully merged into the RWA's narrative.
Yeah. I'll check that out, dude. Hey, dude, we got 10 more minutes. I want to move into a little bit of the Q&A rounds. I got at least
Let's
one
go.
question here. So let's bring up Thurman. What's up, Thurman? I really appreciate everything you're doing in the Hody community. Um, he says, quick question. What do y'all foresee in your projects in the next 5 years? It's a little, I mean, 5 years is a long ass time. So like, let
Five
me,
years is the longest
I'll kick it,
time.
I'll kick it to you, and you can keep it brief so we can go through a lot of these questions. Let's just say
Let's go
like
brief.
3 to 5 years.
Let's go
Like,
brief. I'm not
where do you
gonna
see
lay too
Pirate?
much sauce because if
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lay too much sauce, people are just gonna buy too much pirate and we're gonna have a pump and dump.
lay the
But
sauce.
we're gonna
Lay the
launch a
sauce.
multiverse. Yes. We're gonna launch a multiverse, which is pretty much fully ready right now. We have a website prototype. We have all of the art for the multiverse. And I mean, what's the biggest problem in meme coins right now? Like, let's just agree, scams, pump and dumps, and not being able to literally
Too many
find
of
a
them.
legit project. Too many of them. Like the
Yeah,
majority, the overwhelming majority of them. Like 99.99% of meme coins being launched are fucking scams. Rug pulls, pump and dumps, etc. So the Pirate Multiverse will be pretty much the gateway into the world of legit meme coins that are vetted, that are included in the kind of a multiverse where all the characters canonically live. We already have an incredible storyline written out for the multiverse. We'll have all of the partner projects like Hodi, like Plath, like Catbat coming on board to together support the multiverse. And by an extent, the multiverse project will be supporting them back. as well as PYRATE, as well as all the other projects. So we'll be able to, because right now PYRATE is an incredible investment, and probably, in my personal opinion, one of the best projects to ever exist on the
Hey, dude, you
meme coin
just
potential. So
you just froze for a second. Let's see.
um,
I think
did
your
my
video
connection?
your
One
video
second, one
just
second,
cut
one
out,
second.
bro.
I think I'm gonna fix it. Yes. Is it good now? I
Hey,
think
there
it's
we
gonna go
go.
back to
There we
normal.
go. There we go.
I'm sorry, I just have to use VPN to avoid all of the sanctions, so it's always on and it kind of interferes with the connection.
No worries.
Part of the game. But by launching the multiverse, we'll be able to build out like an actual brand and a community of projects that pretty much support one another. And I think that is gonna be like the thing that people are actually looking for. Because right now, so many people have been rugged, so many people has lost all of their money, so many people have been scammed, so many people lost their money on pump and dump celebrity coins. And right now, people are just they're scared to buy any meme coins because they're worried that it's gonna be a scam and they're gonna lose all their money as they did before. So this will be a like pretty much the only safe haven of meme coins that will provide people with an opportunity to invest in the projects that are vetted, legit, that have been around for some time, and that are safer, like relatively safe, to put their money into. So we're going to have a very nice ecosystem structured around it with all of the pirate utility, with all of the vetting, with all of the storylines. We're going to be releasing loads of comics. And this idea is still like at its very beginning. So we're going to be introducing some like very, very huge developments closer to like the peak of the multiverse. But creating our own launchpad, for example, when if you buy when the token isn't bonded yet, you all get the same price, for example, to make it fair for everyone. So pretty much like Pump Fund plus a pre-sale at the same time.
Yeah.
So we're going to be developing loads of like late game utilities, and we're just going to be building out one of the biggest brands in crypto in general. And by being able to get all of the projects together in one room and being able to agree on something and to push one another through the multiverse is going to be an absolutely huge deal.
Nice, dude.
But I mean, that's like in the next couple of months. I have no idea where we're going to be in the next 5 years. I don't know if crypto is even going to exist in 5 years.
Dude, we're gonna be on
That's a
Mars.
hard question.
That's well, dude. That sounds big, and I think I like that how your thinking is really. You know, you're not pulling your punches in terms of like trying to like put a stake in the ground with yourself and your project. So cool, man. I'm happy, and I'd be happy to be part of your. Do you call it a multiverse or a metaverse?
It's a memiverse.
A memeverse.
MEMI.
Memeverse.
Memiverse. It sounds
Memeverse.
fucking fun.
Even better,
Yeah,
dude. Even better.
it
I
is
like it.
much better.
Um, yeah, dude. It's always hard to look like too forward looking in terms of this crypto space. I think that's one of the biggest things that I've learned is because like this shit moves so fast that it's just like I'm constantly like pivoting and like dodging and weaving and going this way and that. It makes it really hard to kind of set a course forward, like we're going north and you're like, oh shit, we got to go fucking east first or whatever. So like, it's a really hard question for me to answer. However, one of the things that I've been real successful with in terms of my other companies or products is as long as I'm continuing to kind of iterate and evolve the product, figure out, what I've been doing right, figure out what I've been doing wrong, and then course correct. It's all about those little course corrections and bringing on intelligent people, meeting new intelligent people that kind of help steer the ship in a direction that's going to be the utmost successful. So, yeah, I think it would be like, what's the saying? Like, there's like this colloquialism that you say, like, tell God you've got a plan and he'll just laugh at you or something like that. There's like some saying like, tell God you got plans and he's like,
Yeah,
I'll
something like
show you
that.
plans.
Yeah,
Um,
he got
but
bigger
like,
plans. So
but I think, if I were to have to answer this question, at least for me, I think it's more so the way that I thought about the Cat Cartel and kind of what I've been doing in that project is building out more of an call it an ecosystem, whether it's the game that we have launched and we're starting to continue to work on as a growth lever, to this new bot that we're building. And I know, dude, you've
wait,
got quite a few
just I
bots.
gotta say, the game is nice. I played it a couple of times. It's fucking really well built because I've
Thank
been
you.
developing one game of my own. So like fucking heads up for that. The game is absolutely incredible.
Thank you. It took a lot of time, energy, and money to build, but like it turned out pretty cool for like a casual game. I'm pretty proud of it.
It's
Like I'm
nice. It's nice.
so I continue to invest, time and energy there. But the way that I look at a lot of these things is like, yeah, it's almost as if both of our projects, like they fall in the meme category, but not really. Like it's this weird hybrid of kind of a meme, kind of a utility, kind of a game. Like it's weird. It's not your typical, this is a funny ass looking dog and it's just a picture, right? With a dog with a hat or whatever. And like that's the meme. So it's this weird gray zone that I'm starting to see in my own project and projects like yours, which excites me from a developer standpoint or a builder standpoint because I just want to build cool shit that builds the brands, builds the product, and more importantly, right now is like builds revenue opportunity to come into the project itself, my pockets, because this shit isn't for free. Like building this stuff is not free.
Oh
So
wait,
let's
wait a
get
second.
everything
I'm sorry.
straight.
Just a second. For everyone listening to this shit, you cannot fathom an amount of money me and Kev are regularly spending on our own projects. I'm bleeding out thousands of dollars every single
Yes.
month for payroll, for arts, for all of this shit. So guys, I'm real sorry about that. But I either gotta sell a bit of pirate here and there and then buy up the dips to make up the difference, or I'm gonna go fucking broke and our projects are gonna close. So
Yeah.
it's very important to actually view your meme coin from like a business perspective, because if you're not able to make money from the project, you're not gonna be able to sustain the project over long term. So
Yeah.
it's just crazy.
Yeah. For sure.
When
So
when are you gonna launch Hodi NFTs? I really wanna ask that. I wanna get myself a Hodi.
soon we're actually
Soon.
so we're working with a new marketing partner. I'll just give him a shout out, Sprout Capital. Quick shout out to Thurman here. I think he knows the guy. So we're about to do this huge marketing strategy. We hired them. I brought them on, and so the NFT collection, which is basically ready to go, um, will be a part of the big push this next coming month or two. So
Can I
it's
get the
all ready to
pirate
go. The
Hodi?
NFT series is great.
I need a Hodi with an eye patch.
I got an eye patch. I did an
Pretty
eye patch
please.
specifically for you, dude. He's got one.
Incredible, absolutely. Appreciate it. We
Um,
can do some giveaways together. Give away a couple of Hodis to the
yeah,
pirate community.
yeah, totally. The NFT series is fun to
Sounds good
build.
to
I
me.
gotta say, like thinking about all the traits and whatnot. I'm really glad that I put that together. It'll be fun to release that. Um, I think
Absolutely.
that's about wraps it up. We're about at the hour mark, dude. I'm glad we did this again, and I'm stoked for you and all the
That was
progress that you've
incredible.
made. So I'm glad we've maintained this
All right,
friendship and
so
connection, dude.
before we wrap this up and before we call tonight, I think that a lot of people are just super stressed, super on their toes, thinking that this bull run is finally fucking over and that they're just gonna lose all their crypto holdings. Relax, grab a cup of tea. I bought myself tea with Solana yesterday. I spent half a soul on
Nice.
buying some incredible Chinese tea, one of the best purchases. I'm just not watching the charts, sitting there by myself, sipping my tea, chilling. Just relax, don't take this shit so seriously. It's gonna go up. Watch M2 Global Liquidity Index. We're gonna hit a new all-time high in 2 months. Like, mark my words. Maybe. Shit, this is gonna be recorded. Oh my god, I'm gonna be
All right,
wrong.
we're gonna revisit
Alright,
this.
but maybe. So before I go, and before we go, and maybe finally answer like some final questions, I'm just gonna get a quick rundown because I haven't mentioned a few very, very, very nice high potential altcoins that I think people like really need to look into to understand the current narratives. So
All
that
right,
the
you got
first
2
one
minutes,
is
bro. You got 2
Sonic.
minutes.
I got you. So the first one is gonna be Sonic. We already talked about it. So guys, look into Sonic, how it operates, what's the Sonic ecosystem. It's very interesting. The second one we haven't really emphasized that much is, I mean, I gotta say Tao. Like people just don't understand what Tao is. Maybe they hear it here and there. Tao is pretty much like a Bitcoin or like Bitcoin of crypto in terms of AI. Because Tao, like that's probably the safest AI bet you can make. And I think that Tao will have similar performance to Bitcoin in terms of highs and lows. And I mean, the third, I gotta say, like one of the best picks I had so far is Sei. That's gonna be the final altcoin for today before we call tonight. Sei is very interesting. It's incredibly undervalued right now, in my opinion. I still haven't bought it, but I'm probably gonna buy it in the coming weeks or months. But that's pretty much it. Just search some like top 100 cryptos, investigate some of the altcoins. It's fun. Like, I promise.
Good tips, dude. I agree with
But
all those.
that was
I agree
incredible.
with all
That was
those.
a very nice podcast.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm happy to have you here. Hang out for 2 minutes when we
We're
close
gonna
this
do
out.
another
Um,
one, another one in 4 months.
Absolutely, man. We'll keep
We can
revisiting
make
as long as
quarterly
we're here in this
podcasts.
space. So yeah, everyone,
Absolutely.
I hope you enjoyed the stream today. I know it was a little bit different as we kind of navigated a lot of the crypto landscape, but this is
We
what you
had
can
to.
expect.
It's just so
We're just
crazy.
here
It's
hanging out.
hard to not talk about it.
So have a great
Yes,
day. Have a
sir.
great weekend,
So
everyone, and I'll catch you in the next episode.
awesome. Goodbye. We're gonna catch you in the next episode in 4 months.